Hello, boys and girls. You probably wonder what in the world I am doing. Today, we are having a lesson that uses bubble gum, and one of the grossest things to me in the world is finding old bubble gum stuck on the bottom of like desks at school. I mean, who does that? That is so gross. I can honestly tell you, I have never stuck a piece of gum anywhere except in a piece of paper and in a trash can. But there are people out there, would you believe it? There are people out there who will put it under chairs, under desks. I mean, they got to feel really guilty doing that. It's so gross. But I have furniture at our house that I have never checked to make sure that there's been nobody in the history of that desk that has done that. So this is kind of scary. So I'm going to look around and see under the desk to see if there's any gum under my desk here at home. I don't see any so far, so things are going good. I'm about ready to get grossed out here, but things are looking pretty good. It seems like I must have, whoever we got these desks from were very sanitary people, it looks like. Let's see. Good. Very this is good. So my room is clear of sticky, gross gum under the desk. So now we can get on with the lesson. Great. Back at my desk. Hope you enjoyed that little adventure there. And I always like to add a little extra excitement to every lesson if I can. So hopefully that was exciting enough for you. Maybe you can do the same thing at your house and have that little searching for chewed up gum adventure. I've got a couple more letters today like I did last week. And let's see what I've got here. We'll read this one. Got, Dear Mr. Trey, how old are you? My little brother says you probably knew Abraham. From Johnny. Well, Johnny, you can tell your little brother that I didn't know Abraham. Now, if you're, Abraham of the Bible for sure, and I didn't know Abraham Lincoln either. So I'm not quite that old, believe it or not. So, and I feel kind of funny telling you like how old I am, but I'll tell you, give you kind of some hints. I am so old. When I was a kid, rainbows came in black and white. So you get that? See, old televisions used to be black and white, now they're color. Okay. I am so old. When I went to school, there was no history class. Okay. I am so old that I knew Captain Crunch back when he was a private. And I'm so old that my birth certificate expired. Okay, so I'm sorry, I couldn't give you the exact numbers, but that'll at least give you some idea. Got one other letter on this purdy purple paper. Dear Mr. Trey, have you gained weight eating all that candy? LOL. LOL. Laugh out loud. I get it. Well, Susie, again, these questions are getting a little personal, I guess, but I'll go ahead and kind of give you some hints of if I've gained weight. I've gained so much weight now that if you took a picture of me and put it up on the wall, it's so heavy it would fall down. I've gained so much weight that when I get it in an elevator, it has to go down. I've gained so much weight that my cereal bowl comes with a lifeguard. I've gained so much weight that in the morning I have to wake up in sections. I've gained so much weight that whenever I fall over, I rock myself to sleep trying to get back up. I've gained so much weight. Today I stepped on a weight scale to weigh myself, and it said, please, one at a time only. And I've gained so much weight that the other day I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get my driver's license, and they took my picture. And then when I got my ID card, under the picture it said continued on other side. And I've gained so much weight that it takes Nationwide 3 days to get on my side.
Nationwide is on your
side.
side.
Of weight I've gained, but I'm doing it for you, so you can have valuable lessons based on candy. Now, today's lesson is based on two different candies. You can already guess. One of them is on gum, chewing gum. But we're going to start real quick talking about nerds. You probably think, what in the world does nerds have to do with anything, particularly when you're studying things of God? But that's a lot of things. There is a little phrase that you might have heard. I remember hearing it one time. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it didn't really strike me as true when the kid said it. Somebody had said something to a kid that was kind of mean. And he said, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Have you ever heard that? Or have you ever said that? Now, do you think it's true? I don't think it's true. I think when people say that, it's to build themselves up, make themselves feel stronger. You know, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You know, they're saying it so they'll feel it. So they're saying it so they can be stronger and not let those words hurt them. But the reason I'm saying that you shouldn't believe the words is because if you really believe them, then you kind of almost feel like you can say anything to anybody. But you need to realize that words do hurt. And I think that you know that they do because you've probably been hurt by words yourself. And you've probably had some things already said to you by somebody, maybe somebody in your family or a friend, and somebody even maybe that you like and that you love, but they said something to you and you just haven't forgotten it. And you might not ever forget it, even though you still like them and you still love them. And you maybe don't ever tell them, "Hey, you said this and that hurt my feelings." And if you've had that feeling, you don't want anybody else to have that feeling. I remember when I was in high school, I walked into Bible class one Wednesday night, and a good friend of mine looked at me and he looked at the jeans that I was wearing. He says, "Hey, there's old elephant pants." And I was kind of confused, and we were good friends, so I just kind of let it go. But for years and years, I'm talking about 15 or 20 years, I thought because he called me elephant pants that he was saying I had a big rear end, because elephants have big rear ends, you know. And then it just hit me out of the blue one time that when he called me elephant pants, that he was just talking about how they were kind of scrunched up at the bottom. They were a little long, so they were kind of wrinkly at the bottom and bunched up, kind of like, I guess, elephant legs would look. But I took it the wrong way, and for a long time I thought I had a big rear end because he said that. That was kind of my self-image, even though I didn't. So, you know, you never just know some random comment that you make to somebody. Now, I'm not saying you can't, you know, joke around and kid around, but you need to be very sensitive with who you're kidding or who you're joking with. You know, they might not be somebody that can take a joke, or look for reactions. And if it looks at all like you've hurt somebody, just quickly, you know, apologize and try to be more sensitive. And because words really can hurt. And the reason I had the box of nerds out earlier is nerds is a term. But when you think of candy, it's good. Everybody loves Nerds candy, I guess. I like them. And now, I remember one year they even came out with Nerds cereal, which was terrible and didn't make it. Nobody else liked it, so they stopped that. But Nerds is just candy, is really good and has kind of a positive meaning. But nerds overall is kind of a negative meaning, and it's things that people will call each other at school. What are some things that you've heard at school that people call each other? Stupid, ugly, a nerd, a geek. When you get in high school, sometimes they'll call athletes jocks. kind of like a dumb jock. They'll say just because they're a good athlete, then sometimes they try to say, well, they're a good athlete, but they're stupid, so they'll call them a dumb jock. Sometimes people will say racist things to other people, and these words can be real cutting, and they can really hurt. And part of your being a good example as one who follows God is to follow what Paul says in Ephesians 4:29. If you want to look that up, you can. Ephesians 4:29. He says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." And when it says, do not let any unwholesome talk, what's it mean, unwholesome? It means something that's harmful or damaging. Just don't let that come out of your mouth. But it says, look at other people's needs and talk to them according to what they need, something that will build them up and make them stronger. And so you make a conscious effort to look at people and say, what can I say to help that person feel better about themselves? Help them have a better day. Help them have a better life. What can I say? You specifically look at their needs, and instead of thinking about yourself all the time, what can you say to somebody else that's going to help them? And if what you say to them is not going to be helpful, it's going to be, in fact, it's going to be unwholesome. It's going to damage them in some way, something they might remember in a bad way for a long time, then don't say it. And I think that's one of your big challenges at your age. I think if I had anything that I could go back and do better when I was in elementary school, I think I could have been kinder. I didn't say things mean directly to people all that much, but a lot of times I would say something mean about them to somebody else. And that's not good either, because I'm not being a good example to that person by saying something mean about that person behind their back. So make sure the things that you say benefit other people. Now, our next lesson has to do with bubble gum. I talked to you a few weeks ago about things that they sell as candy that I don't know why they do that, because it's like imitating bad things. I mentioned candy cigarettes, candy cigars. Well, something that's still in stores now, and I found it just the other day, is Big League bubble gum. Okay, and you're probably saying, what's wrong with Big League bubble gum, Mr. Trey? Well, there's nothing really wrong with it, but you know what it's imitating? It's imitating baseball players who chew tobacco. And you're saying, well, what's wrong with chewing tobacco? Yes, there are a lot of health problems associated with chewing tobacco. And since it's tobacco, which is also makes up cigarettes, it has nicotine in it, which can lead to nicotine addiction. So a lot of people that start with chewing tobacco, they eventually go to cigarettes. Now, also, even if you don't go to cigarette, it's bad because it can cause cancer of the mouth, and that's pretty gross. I've seen pictures of it. It can cause cancer of the esophagus, the part that leads to your stomach. It can cause heart disease, stroke. Your breath is pretty bad, probably. I don't know. And another one I thought was interesting, that is women who are pregnant who chew tobacco could have early delivery on their pregnancy. I am so glad I have never seen a pregnant woman chewing tobacco. That would not be a pretty sight. So, because people who chew tobacco, they're always spitting stuff out, that kind of thing. It's kind of gross. So, hopefully, you'll never have that experience of seeing a pregnant woman chewing tobacco. But if you do, maybe throw in a word that they might have that baby a lot sooner than they want to if they're chewing tobacco. And also the nicotine that's in the tobacco can actually, unfortunately, go to the baby and cause a lot of problems even before it's born. But anyway, Big League Chew, there's nothing really necessarily wrong with chewing it. It's just gum, but still you're kind of imitating baseball players who are using chewing tobacco, which is nasty. Okay? Now, another kind of gum I saw this week, which I thought was kind of neat, is called Hubba Bubba Bubble Tape. I thought this was kind of cool. And it's kind of like, it's just like tape, and you just kind of pull it. I have not been able to get the bubble tape. See, it's all kind of curled up in there, and I have not been able to get it to roll easily. But that, hey, that wasn't bad. And then you just kind of click it, and voila, you got some gum right there. It's pretty good. Now, and then of course here's the double bubble gum. This is, I guess, if you can have gum that's famous, this is kind of famous gum here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to start just stuffing my mouth with gum, and I'm going to try to see how big a bubble I can blow. Okay, that's going to have something to do with our next Bible point for today. So, I'm going to work on this for a while. We'll get some bubble tape. Sorry. I'll be back in a minute. All right, I kind of got all the gum soft now. I would not recommend you ever put this much gum in your mouth. I'm going to see how big a bubble I can blow. I haven't done this. I can't tell you the last time I tried to blow a bubble, but I'm going to see how big a bubble I can get. That's pathetic. I'm going to try again. Probably better. I'm going to try again. This is depressing. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try one more time. I have got to admit that was a pretty pathetic attempt, boys and girls. I'm just going to have to practice, and I guess maybe I need to watch a YouTube video on how to blow a big bubble with bubble gum. But the lesson, if it had gone perfectly, I would have blown this big bubble up to here, and it would have exploded and gone all over my face, just and all over my glasses, and we would have all had a laugh and a great time, and it would have made my Bible lesson perfect. But still, just imagine that happening. Hebrews 12:1. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith." And so, the phrase that we're concentrating on here, it says, the sin that entangles us. The verse starts out with, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Now, what that would mean for us today is that you have a lot of people watching you. Your parents, other members of your family, people at church, maybe at school. They're watching you. And since you're being watched and people looking at you, you need to get rid of any sin that entangles you. And that's kind of where the gum comes in. Gum doesn't necessarily entangle you, but gum is like sin. It's sticky. And when you sin, it's like that bubble gum just bursting and getting all over you. Sometimes if you sin enough or you do something that's bad enough, it's it's not a matter of just being able to just get out of trouble really easy. Sin is very, very sticky. And of course, God is very, very willing to forgive you, but sometimes the consequences of sin can follow you around for a long time. So, what does that mean? Don't sin in the first place. Don't get yourself entangled with sin. Don't let sin get a hold of you and stick to you, because sometimes, man, sin is just things you do. It's so hard to get away from those consequences of that sin. And so if you realize that, you can live your Christian life in a preventive way. Just work really hard not to get yourself in positions that are very hard to get out of, that have terrible consequences. And a lot of times sin can be like a habit as well. You can get into doing something and it's a sinful habit that you get so used to doing it you can't help it anymore, and it just sticks. So just don't start. Make good decisions. Think about things very thoroughly before you do them. You know, I've worked with young people a lot of times, whether it's at a church camp or at a school or raising my own kids, and a lot of times I'll look at a kid and I'll say, "What were you thinking? What were you thinking?" And they go, "I don't know. I just wasn't thinking." And so they've gotten into this mess that's so hard to get out of because they weren't thinking. So think and focus your eyes on Jesus. It's been great being with you today. I hope you have a great week. And I really appreciate those of you that are watching this, and hopefully it's been a blessing for you. I love you. I'm praying for you, and hope to see you again soon, whenever that will be. It'll be a great day.
Icky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Icky, sticky bubble gum makes my hand stick to my hair. And I pull 'em, and I pull 'em, and I pull 'em away.
Icky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Icky, sticky bubble gum makes my hands stick to my nose. And I pull them.